Well, that brings me to my second tip, which is read the manual. That's the absolute #1 best way to learn all the quirks, or at least a good amount of quirks about your particular synth. Like the Vanguard manual, right here, all these different oscillators it has. You know, some synths just have like sawtooth, triangle, sine wave, and square, and that'll be it. But obviously Vanguard has 8,000 of these. It can be a little bit overwhelming, but the manual does a great job of explaining what each one of these does, and they're actually a lot simpler than they appear. Like the Ajax saws are analog simulations of saws, while digital is just a digital saw. Pt.2 I think is synced noise. They're all different. PWM saw is just a saw that has a is pulse width modulatable. God, I sound like a nerd when I say shit like that. So read the manual. The manual also tells you things like this drive, which a lot of people just assume is kind of a 2B distorted sound, but it's not on Vanguard. And the manual explains that it'll give you that distorted sound, but it loses a lot of its brilliance, a lot of its high end, which is unique for this just kind of distortion, because most distortion adds a lot of that high end gain. So the manual is really the roadmap between what's in your head and what you want to get onto your DAW, or into sound. You want to get out of your head into sound, and the manual will teach you how to do that. I swear to God, if you don't read the manual to your synth front to back, I'm going to go to your house and light your fucking dog on fire, because you're an idiot, and it's the first thing you should be doing with any synth if you seriously, truly want to learn how to do this shit. And you want to learn how to do it good. Read your manual front to back. And my last tip is that you should get it right at the source. All right? Don't be one of these guys who, like, let's see, is like, well, that's loud. Don't be one of those guys who like is like, oh, there's too much high end in it. Let me turn it down right here. Okay, well, that's stupid. Because what you should be doing is, that's why it was so loud, is putting on like a filter. You know, put on your filter here in your synth and do it that way instead of using your EQ. Or let's say you have too much body, you have too much mid-range, like you're having to, cut around the 800 mark because it's interfering with your vocals, your other synths or whatever. Well, instead of doing that, go into your synth and, choose one of these oscillators that maybe has less body, is a little thinner sounding. It's totally possible to do that, especially if you're using like square waves. I know that using your PWM with your square wave and turning that up makes it more brilliant and have less body. And you learn things like this by learning your individual synth. In Vanguard, synced wave, sync saw is a little more, I'd say high-endy. So maybe if I thought that had too much high end in it and I didn't want to turn on the filter, I would maybe change them all to like one of these analog saws. And you only learn these things by knowing your synth. But it's important to get it right at the source, because the less you have to do, the less processing you have to do, the better quality you're going to get, the more time you're going to save yourself, the better it's going to sound, period. Another thing you should always be doing is, don't be one of these guys. Whoops, we'll just do it on Vanguard. Don't be one of these guys who, like me, I did this forever. You have your master volume down here, and then you just leave your fader all the way up at the top. I already talked about this before in my mix tips video, but yeah, you should be having your volume pretty much as high as possible before clipping. You don't want it to clip, but have it as high as you can to get the best possible quality. And then at the very end, you should be turning down your fader. So get that right at the source too. Get the volume right. It's a lot better than, putting on 5,000 different effects to get the sound you want, which I used to do. No, if you know your synth, you can usually get it right at the source, right here. 90% of the time, I'd say. And then if you want a specific effect like a chorus or a phaser or something that you can't get with your synth, of course that's okay. But your gut reaction, if you're having a problem, especially a problem with the mix or a problem with the patch, should not be to throw in an effect. You should always try to get it as close as possible with your synth that you're using right now. Alright, that's all I have to say for this one. Sorry I didn't teach you how to make any dead mouse or crookers patches or anything like that, but my viewers are smarter than that. Yeah, I'm not going to name any names of horrible YouTubers out there who are spreading anti-individualist, copying other people's standards, but it might rhyme with something like lucky date. I'll let you figure that out for yourself. But us, we're smart, and we're making our own stuff here. With my next video, I'm going to teach you guys some mixing tips, processing tips with your synth, teach you how to get them to sound good within your own song. So be on the lookout for synth tips number 2. Alright guys, peace out.